Gentlemen, welcome to the March 24th, 2020 Board of Selectmen's meeting. I hope everybody's staying safe and doing what you're supposed to be doing. We're going to need a clerk tonight. Can I have a motion to appoint Peter clerk for the night, please? Motion made by Alan, seconded by Jim. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous. Could I have a roll call, please, from the clerk?
Okay, we have 4 selectmen present. Selectman Bruce is not here, town administrator is not here, town council is not here.
Okay, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's have Mr. Louise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Awesome. Now, announcements. Does anybody have any announcements? Alan?
I'll try and do this quickly. We're in an interesting time. Most of us have grown up with just constant prosperity in this country, except for a couple wars and stuff that we've had that affected, small groups of people. We really had nothing but, positive. We're not used to what our great-grandparents and grandparents went through at one point in time. My recommendation to everybody is take a deep breath. We're in this for the long term. If you get panicked with the short term, with the stock market dropping 30% and sell off and do things, you're going to end up losing in the long term. Learn from prior history and experience, just sit back and let it go through its course and come back and everything else. What I would ask is that if you have a neighbor, friend, or anybody that you know that may have some medical issues or just doesn't have anybody else living at home, call them and just say hello, check on them. They'll feel a lot better, and you'll actually feel better yourself. Thank you.
All right, Jim, do you have anything?
No.
Okay, Peter?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Governor Baker and his staff and his people and our elected representatives too. They've been a great source of information, delivered calmly, effectively, and I think they're doing the best they can to keep Massachusetts safe, and I think we need to acknowledge that.
Okay, so the drop-in center that usually happens on the third Wednesday has been canceled because for obvious reasons, okay? But if somebody's out there and you're having difficulty one way or another, whether it's somebody on drugs or somebody who needs to get off a drug or alcohol or whatever, if you send me an email, I will hook you up with Bill, who runs that program pretty much, and he'll get to you and they'll get you help. So no matter what, I mean, we've had a lot, by the way. We had like 20 ODs and 2 deaths last month, and we didn't start out that good this month either. So, if you're having difficulty, please don't be afraid. You can go on the website, look up my email, send me an email. I'll make sure you get the contact information. They will get you and they will help you. So just keep that in mind, okay? All right, next up is citizens' comments. Obviously, we're not having any citizens' comments tonight since the room is empty. Board comments. Let's start with Alan.
It's pretty simple. Everything that's going on, everything that's been scheduled for the next 2 months is canceled.
Jim, anything?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that, remember as a kid, youth growing up and in high schools, fire alarms and safety drills and whatnot. And I think it puts into perspective, people seem to be taking everything in stride and doing pretty much what they're told by the governments, going out only when necessary. And I think everything's going fairly well considering the situation as it is.
Peter, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wearing this ridiculous get-up tonight to, sort of drive home the point that you need to be careful when you're out there. Limit how much time you're out. Plan your trips so you go and get all your stuff at once, so you don't have to make multiple trips. Protect yourself, keep the social distancing appropriate. Don't hoard toilet paper. One person I want to take special note of is a gentleman named Jawan Gamble. He went around town and put bins out in front of the Boys and Girls Club, Mama Mary's, and then also the West Wareham Post Office. And he filled those bins up with things like toilet paper and paper towels and wipes and all that sort of thing, all of his own accord. Didn't do it to draw attention to himself. And since then, people have been stopping by and replenishing the supplies that are in there. And, you know, there's a lot of people who have done a lot of things in this town trying to help. People making masks, people getting together on Facebook groups. So I think he kind of symbolizes, you know, the spirit of the town during this time.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, we're at appointments, reappointments, and interviews. Now, what I did is I put on here Walter Cruz, who is a present member in the associate side, to elevate him, to give them the fifth member. Jim, this was your suggestion, and I thought it was a good one, because we should have somebody who's been there and knows what's going on. And so I have that on there. And then the only other one that we can replace him with is Richard Semple, because he's the only one that we've interviewed so far. But there's going to be other positions.
Very good.
And go ahead.
What's the date on Walter's appointment?
This would just be through June 30th of this year.
No, it should fill the position that he's taking, which was Jan Kendrick. I think that goes to 2023. Because he's being appointed to fill a
Yes,
position.
he is. He's going to fill a position. Correct.
So he should fill it for the term that's left.
All right, so
Well,
we'll check.
we'd have to check her term because
Well, yeah.
they're only 3-year terms, so she couldn't have
No,
been
they're
appointed.
5-year terms according, it should be 3, but it says 5 years in the book.
No, the only 5-year terms I think we have are Housing Authority.
Yeah.
But there is, though.
That's what I was just going to
What we'll do, Jim, what we'll do is, we'll
correct
vote it, and then we'll figure out what it is, and we'll make the right ending period for her, okay? Whatever it
Yeah,
happens to be,
for Walter, yeah.
Yeah.
okay?
That's fine, I just
For him,
wanted to
sorry.
bring that to your attention, because I saw the dates, and that's why I asked, because sometimes they change it before it gets here,
Yeah,
because they saw that, you know, it needed to be
yeah,
corrected.
yeah.
But thank you.
Okay, motion, please?
Okay, I move the Board of Selectmen appoint Walter B. Cruz Jr., 204 Sandwich Road, Wareham, Mass., as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2020.
Okay. We're probably, with a correction possible on that, okay?
23.
Well, we can come back and just appoint him to a further term after
Well,
this, right?
whatever.
Yeah.
No, we'll just make the correction, whatever it's gonna be.
Yep.
Just say whatever Kendrick's term ends, that's where because that's the one he's filling in, and we'll just make it a Scribner thing and correct it. As long as we all agree, there's no issue.
Okay.
All right? All right, so motion made by Peter, seconded by Alan. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous. Now, Richard Semple, as an associate member.
Yes, and we have him for a term to expire no later than next year.
Correct.
Move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Richard Semple, 194 Hathaway Street, Wareham, Mass., as an associate member of the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2021.
All right. Motion made by Peter, seconded by Alan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous. Very nice. All right, license and permits, there's a renewal of a seasonal liquor license under the provisions of 138 MGL for the year 2024, I believe. Sienna
Americana.
Cafe?
Yeah.
And American Cafe, right?
Yeah, Sienna's the business entity, but it's DBA Americana.
Okay, go ahead.
I move that we that we renew the seasonal liquor license for Sienna Cafe LLC, DBA Americana Cafe, manager Karen Moore, for the 2020 seasonal license term.
A motion made by Peter, seconded by Alan. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous. Terrific. Under town business, we're gonna do AVCC seasonal renewal certificate, which we do every year, as everybody knows.
Yeah. So everybody had a chance to review this?
Yeah, it's fine. There is no change.
Okay. Let's see, they didn't put a sticky in here, but there's a form with 5 slots for us to sign, so.
Yeah.
Let me just make sure that's on the first, just checking the packet here.
There's a yellow sticky right there.
Oh, there is, duh. Never
Must be
mind.
the bandana.
Yeah.
It's hiding the thing.
Yeah, that's right, I'm suffocating over here.
Yeah.
Okay, I move that we approve the certification. What the heck do we have here?
Of seasonal renewal certificate.
Right, season,
But there's no
we've got a bunch
increase
of, we've got,
increase.
yeah, what we have here is a bunch of seasonal alcohol renewals that should have been under license.
Yeah, but that's not what it is. It's the form that's in the front. that you're
Right.
gonna approve.
Yeah, okay,
That doesn't mean anything.
nope,
It's the form, and there should be no changes.
yeah. Okay, move to authorize execution of the seasonal renewal certification for 2020.
Second.
Motion made by Peter, seconded by Alan. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstained, it's unanimous. Okay, next thing is discussion and vote on extending the dog registration. Now, this is kind of wild. For some reason or another, there's actually some people who think that we're going to come to their house and arrest them if they don't get their dog renewals by the end of March here or something. So if Peter says, well, let's put it on the agenda and let's give them an extension. So I'd like to extend it out. Somebody come up with a date and we'll extend it and give them more time to get their renewals under the circumstances.
Why don't we move it out to June 1st?
Okay.
Well, I did speak to the town clerk and also the harbor master, who's the director of natural resources, and the town clerk recommended we do it till April 30th for the time being.
What's it normally, April 15th?
No, end of this month.
End of this month.
And what happens is,
First.
you can still register, it's just you gotta pay the incremental increase in cost.
Right, the fine.
$10 more every couple of months it goes up. So this would just delay that. The issue here is that people are unable to get rabies shots from their vets because they closed a lot of them.
Yeah.
So,
I don't see why we need to renew this every month, though. I mean, it's not likely that they're going to be ready
Right.
by April 30th. I mean, they moved tax time out to July 15th.
that's true.
Go to June 30th or something.
Yeah, let's do something like that,
Okay,
all right? So could I have a motion to move it to June 30th?
so moved.
A motion made by Peter, seconded by Alan. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous. The least thing people have to worry about is their dog right now. Just
Right.
Let's let them worry about staying safe, okay?
Well, it's kind of funny, sometimes in things like this, it's not the big stuff that drives people crazy.
Yeah.
It's the little nagging things like this,
And
so,
especially when you're home and you have nothing else to do, you know?
yeah.
Okay, vote articles on the 2020 special town meeting. I don't think we have much, but take a look at, since the town administrator is not here, there's really nothing for us to do, I don't believe, but just check it, Peter, and see what we got there.
Yeah, I mean, most of these, stuff like, for example, I'm
It's
sure.
all
Mis-
his stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly his stuff. There's the refuse district and so forth, but I'm thinking we should probably wait till we have a full board anyway.
I think he should be here anyway for this.
Yeah.
So let's go on with that. And the annual, we'll do the same thing, we'll go by that for now.
Yeah.
We have no 48-hour business. The only thing, go ahead, I'll do this while we're here. The only thing I wanted to talk about, and is, it seems that, I don't know how this order that's been put in place, which, by the way, is not mandatory. I don't know if anybody's noticed that. And everybody I talk to says, well, it's a, what do you call it?
Policy?
No, it's a,
Advisory.
an advisory. And everybody says to me, well, I don't have to pay any attention to that. It's advisory. I've heard people say it. 4 or 5 people today tell me the same thing, and they're still working. So, I mean, I don't know how this is going to work. It just doesn't make any sense. An advisory? Okay, yeah, we're advising you to stay home. Well, I choose not to. Okay.
Well, I think it's, I mean, I don't know what the governor's thinking exactly on this is, but I can sort of see it from the perspective of start with advisory, see how it goes, and if things get worse and people need to be stayed in their houses, then he can issue the quarantine order for everybody.
Well, it's interesting because part of that this morning, I don't know if anybody's watching the news, but the news people had them saying that they wanted our local police departments to police it. And it's like, how can we ask them to police an advisory?
No, you can't.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what it's all about. I wish that they would clarify it a little better and make it a little easier. I mean,
I think they, basically saying, stay out unless you have to go out for food or groceries. essentials, get your social distancing, and, let's try to nip this in the bud and not help spread it. I think most people, some people are going to ignore it anyhow, especially certain age groups, because, they think they're,
Invincible.
yeah, invincible, good word. And, all of us can be affected. I think that age group is showing a lot of numbers as far as contacting the virus. I think more than the seniors.
Well, the seniors are smart enough to have been hiding. A lot of them have gone in and stayed in.
Yep.
And so they're not getting it, thank God. They're not getting it, and, whatever. I just did the numbers on the death rate real quick, and it's 1.3%, which is, not as high as they said it was going to be, thank God, but that's still high. It's a lot higher than the flu,
Yeah, the flu's only 1/10%.
Yeah, it's a small amount, so 1.3% is still too much, you know what I'm saying?
Well, there are. There's something on the order of 1.1 million hospital beds in the U.S. We have 60,000 ventilators. So if 1.3% of 330 million people all get sick at the same time, then guess what? Your bed's going to be on the football field because there's nowhere to put you. And what's going to drive the death rate up then isn't going to be the virus all by itself. It's going to be the fact that you couldn't get treatment for the virus, and because the medical people were overwhelmed. That's when the death rate would frankly soar.
That's what happened, I guess, in Italy. They were overwhelmed, and they didn't know, they just couldn't handle it all.
Yeah, and that can happen here. So don't be complacent and think that just because you're in the good old U.S. of A. that it's going to be any better here if you don't do what you're supposed to do than it was in Wuhan or Italy. You've got to assume that the same risks carry forth here, and govern yourself accordingly.
Well, I was a little disappointed that it was 12 o'clock, and I was coming down Cranberry Highway a little after that, maybe 12:20, and I was coming down Cranberry Highway, and everybody's still working on the street. 12 o'clock was the deadline, but everybody's still working. Now, all right, I give them the benefit of the doubt and say, all right, well, they get to at least finish up the day or close up or prepare or do whatever and see what happens. But, I wish everybody would heed this thing, because it's best that we do that. The only other way to handle this, and they're starting to kind of come around a little bit, is to do this thing called herd immunity or whatever they call it, where basically everybody who is at risk goes home and stays in, right, and stays put, and then the other people just get it, and they get the immunity, and then you build a herd, basically, and what happens is all those people are immune, and basically it kills the virus. And there's a big talk about this on the radio, on the TV and the radio today, and maybe that's going to be a different approach. I don't know, but all I know is right now they want us to stay in.
Yep.
So I hope everybody heeds the warning, stays in, do the best you can. Let's try to protect the people that we might run into accidentally, and something goes bad. That's the key to the ball game, because you could have it and not know it. You
Right.
could have got it and not know it, and then you're still contagious for that 14 days or whatever, and you happen to just run into someone, and you give it to them, and the next thing you know, it's a real problem for them. It's like, I figure it's sort of like, how some people are allergic to penicillin? Well, no matter what your age is, some people will take this virus a lot worse than others.
Yep.
So heed the warning, stay in, please. All right, has anybody else got anything else they want to add to that?
Today was the first time I was out in 4 days. I had to pick up a couple of things, and felt kind of. There wasn't a lot of people out in the road, to tell you the truth.
I hope you're using the senior time to go down there and do that.
I got my mask and my gloves, and
There you go.
the stores were relatively empty.
I see some of the, I don't know if anybody saw this, it's kind of getting off track a little bit, but the Russian president, did you see him go into a hospital? He put on a complete hazmat suit and went into the thing, had a picture of him coming out in the hazmat suit. I was like, gee, should we all be the boy in the bubble? I'll get us a suit. Kind of crazy, All right, let's move on. Town administrator, obviously not here this evening. Hopefully next week we'll have some input from him. I think next week's meeting going to be held completely out of here and be held from your houses on this system, okay? So we'll all be home. Everybody we'll make it work by then, trust me. We'll get it somehow, we'll make it work, all right?
Now, is this through the Discord app right now?
Yeah, this is...
Okay, so they've got this-
No, we're using
this is
Zoom.
It's a whole different
Zoom,
app.
okay.
And it's working much better, actually.
But we need to be home and test it from home.
Yes.
Like
Yeah, the day
Monday
before or
or
something like that.
Friday
yeah.
or something.
So watch your email, and at some point, maybe he could send us during the week, send us a test or something, and see if we can't test it all from home,
So
so
we
that
can
we're
all
all
log
testing at
on
our
and-
place.
and get
I'll put
on
my
and-
laptop up so I can see everybody, and that way it'll work out, and we'll be able to do this from home and not have to come in and risk anybody, because we should set the example, let's face it, All right, next, liaison reports. Has anybody been liaisoning? Oh, Alan, go ahead.
Okay, today
Death, taxes, and cockroaches.
I did 2 remote meetings using Zoom. No issues whatsoever, one from the house as well. First one was SERPED, our MPO meeting, and we had state officials from 3 different organizations, basically, so they were the local district, in Boston, et cetera, plus members. And I brought up, and I'm going to ask that we have Mr. Sullivan and the board get back to me next week. I went ahead and asked them to seriously look at the bike path, which is scheduled for 2024, to consider doing the Swift Speech project and remove them and just kind of flip them and move the bike path, because it's going to be a path that really doesn't match up with anything right away, and move it back another year, and we'll see what happens. So we basically didn't vote because we didn't have a quorum, but the MPO for the tip coming, we'll be voting on probably in a week or so to put forward, and as long as Mr. Sullivan continues giving the information he did before, and the board's happy, we'll flip these around a little bit. Because basically what will happen is, when the Route 6 project that the study is right now, if that goes ahead, you basically have bike path all the way down Route 6, coming right into Wareham, which makes a lot more sense to go ahead and pull the trigger on the,
You're too far from your mic, buddy.
I should be on, oh, you're not hearing me here?
Well, you sounded really good, and then you pulled your head back.
How about now? Sorry. Basically what will happen is let me mute it again. We'll have that project for Route 6 will come in, it'll make a lot more sense. Then you'll have a bike path that goes all the way from Fairhaven right through to Wareham. And again, at $5 million, I'd rather spend $3 million for a stoplight at Swift Beach instead. So I need to get an answer on that.
But that was an award for the bike path, correct?
That was $200,000, probably 4 or 5 years ago, for engineering. The work's in place, it doesn't go away. We don't lose anything. All it is in the TIP program, it gets moved back.
Right. But we were allotted money, if maybe I'm incorrect here, for the bike path going down Minot Ave. Was it $1-point-something million or 4.5?
It was actually Narrows Road, Minot Ave, $5.3 million.
Right. So that's already earmarked for that purpose, correct? It's not. I don't believe it's discretionary spending.
It's not discretionary.
I
but
didn't
it
think
is.
so.
It's in 2024, Jim.
Right.
All the monies are discretionary because you have so much money coming in each year from the state. What I'm saying is that I don't know if the town as an entity wants to spend $5 million on a bike path in 2024. I'll go ahead and fix the Swift Beach intersection, which is a safety issue, for $3.2 million, and then come back a year later.
Flip-flop
and put the
them,
other one in.
Makes sense.
But it makes sense, but I don't know if we have that flexibility with funds which are earmarked from the state.
Your answer is yes. We have the flexibility.
Well, as long as we get it in writing that it's okay to do it, I wouldn't argue the point. I just don't want to move forward on something and then say, well, no, we're not going to give you the money for that.
No, it's not the case. I've already gone through it yesterday. Okay, second piece of the wonderful puzzle today. The Lieutenant Governor did a large conference call, again using Zoom, talking to all the members of the MMA board and some of the mayors, et cetera, on this. There was a lot of discussion back and forth. I'll try and do this as quickly and as clearly as I can. They've got some articles. There was a whole bunch of bills they were talking about. There's a long list that are all pending, and they'll be coming through. They'll be available on the state website as well. On public health, they gave us some new numbers, really nothing new from what we had before. There's a House Bill 4572 through Sean Cronin, the legislature, to assist municipalities, because this is one of the issues we have overall. Derek and actually the Board of Health asked me to bring a couple things forward as well. So some of the things we have is the budgets that are allowed right now, town meeting extensions. They basically have town meeting extension going out to June 30th to finalize that. It's a possibility it might go past that. So they're working on that as well. And there's also free cash. You can, basically by June 30th, you can spend after the year end, which is something that you usually can't do. So that's also been put in place. There's fourth quarter tax bills. They're going to allow be interest-free and no interest and no fees up to the local localities if they want to extend the time frame for that as well. So that's going to be available. The other area that we had a lot of talk about was actually, with the zoning and planning board, et cetera, about the permitting. And I'll go back over that in a few minutes. I have something there. The EMA, which is basically going to be three EMA centers that will take care of a lot of the medical needs, et cetera. And they're going to have 3 centers that will be able to contact. Each area will have its own center in order to contact for stuff they need. And that's coming down the line as well.
That's an emergency management agency?
Yep. I'll get you the locations probably another day or so. They haven't set them all up yet. As far as the, there's no need for a letter of the essential type businesses, but there is a list that came out today, and it's fairly extensive of what can be open and what can't be open. So again, that's up on the state website as well, and we all have it available to us. We should have got it today. And that's setting up there. The other pieces, which really affects how we do business, the gatherings are from 25, they moved it down to 10 today. So basically, you have 10 people in a business, anything more than that, you have to basically shut it down. So they actually have effectively shut things down. Parks and stuff, you have to check with your local communities. A lot of the parks are being shut down now, baseball fields, et cetera. Kids can go out, but they can't sit there and congregate together and play a game or anything else. So if you want to go down the canal and walk down the canal, you're fine unless a whole group of people start walking together. I'll keep going here. There's going to be, they had question cash aid, for, municipalities and stuff. They're working on that as well, which means the state will be able to provide cash for any of the communities that are running cash short, because we expect to have revenue drop substantially, people not paying bills, revenue not coming in, with people purchasing, et cetera. Everything is really falling off a lot. We're going to have probably some effect in the actual monies up to this end of this year, which is June 30th, and then the 2021 budget that they've basically put in place, which won't be finalized till July, August, most likely will be a decrease of where they planned. I'm hoping that the state has enough money in their stabilization fund, which I think is something like $5 billion, that we won't get hurt right now, but it could be. Derek's probably going to have to look at it. He's already talked about going back and reviewing the budget, because most likely we're not going to get the revenue we planned. So that's something we have to be very careful of. Construction, Patrick probably knows more than me on this. Small housing and site work they can still go ahead. There was a comment about large stuff. Governor also said today, if it's a public safety thing that's going on, or some major project that has to finish, they'll allow them to continue, but they have to follow the current, safety guidelines, so much distance between people, all this other stuff. I don't know how you do that in the construction business, but
I don't know if there was 10 guys standing in a circle when I saw them this morning.
I just know how construction works. I don't see how it's possible, but that's what they talked about today. ZBA and, you know, and also planning board, we have what we call constructive approval, which has been an issue. What they've basically done is they've frozen it, whether it's in place or about to come forward. You will be allowed to extend 45 days past whenever we cancel the state of emergency. So while the state of emergency is in place, everything stops. There's no time calendar, nothing goes on. When the state of emergency stops, you have 45 days.
Whose state of emergency, ours or the governor's?
Governors.
We don't have one, do we?
Yeah, we declared an emergency.
Yeah, we do. Every city and town has their own.
Yeah, we
Now, there's
did.
a possibility that if
Did
a
we
city or town
declare,
wants to
did we
continue this-
declare a state of emergency?
Yeah, we read it.
Did.
We read it
Couple
at
weeks
the
ago.
meeting, remember, a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago?
So are these, proposed,
No, this is happening.
that's already gone through legislature and been approved?
Yeah, it's all part of the governor's bill.
And it's been signed and everything else?
I don't think it's been signed
I
yet, but this is
don't-
what's gonna happen.
All right, so,
But they're giving you the guidelines, what's
Right.
gonna go through. Town
Just-
meeting, basically you can post till 6:30. There's a bill pending for that also, which town meeting might go past that. But as of right now, we can go up to 6:30.
They actually gave us permission to go past that, I've seen it.
I don't think the bill's passed yet.
Oh, it
It's
hasn't
there,
passed the
but it's not
legislation?
passed. As I said,
Said it
cash
had
flow
passed
assist, cash flow assistance, basically will be available through the treasurer for cities and towns. The elections, they,
do we
actually,
miss
they're
that?
talking about, on elections and stuff with signatures, that they're gonna determine how they're gonna do this. They may allow some, electronic signing of signatures for warrants and other things, but also for the actual elections, there's a possibility that the elections can go past, June into a later date as well. And there's a bill for that as well. This is all, this is like a daily thing you have to watch what's going on, because they're putting all these bills in, and they're trying to rush them through. Probably have some issues. Basically, MMA has a website which the cities and towns can go to. People can look at also. I'll give Derek the actual email address. April 7th is the target date for that. Tax bills, more capital. What they're recommending right now, and I think you've seen that also, is the late fees, et cetera, interest. You can actually push that back till June 1st, as long as the Board of Selectmen approve it. So if we want that to happen, we have to put it on the agenda and approve it. And like I say, building inspections, they have issues. We couldn't get any answers today on the basically inspections, the safety for the people actually doing the inspections. What came up, what I brought in today also through Patrick at Board of Health, was there's concern. I think it's, I don't know, Jim might know too, I think the mail distribution that we get, the actual building itself, there was 2 cases of the virus there, and I believe they had to shut the building down. And I'm not sure how they're distributing mail, but the Board of Health's concern is the virus can sit on a package, letter, whatever, and be there for 24 hours. And right now, they're concerned that mail coming into the town hall here may be a real problem for the people that actually get the mail, et cetera.
All
Coming
you gotta
into
do is
your home.
quarantine the mail for 24 hours, and they won't have the
Well,
problem.
I suppose the problem is whoever, somebody's gonna have to handle it and spread it out on tables or something like that. So the
Right.
air gets to it or some crazy
The other
thing.
piece is we
No, it's
have,
better if it's not. Just take the buckets and leave them there, and then look at them the next day.
the other piece is we have the mailbox outside so people can pay their bills,
Yeah.
pay their taxes. You collect that every day.
Yep.
I've when I grab my mail, I put it in a cardboard box and I spray it with a disinfectant.
But there has-
And I leave it in there overnight, and then I grab it the next day. And, that, anyone, whether delivery people or mail people, I mean, they could be just a vector of spreading the disease if they have it. You don't know. And I'm staying away from that kind of stuff as far as deliveries, and it's just me.
But again, this is our Board of Health, actually being very proactive, saying there's issues here.
So what are you gonna do?
There's no answer yet. We've asked the governor and lieutenant governor to come
No,
back.
what are
with
we gonna do here?
Board of Health will have to make a decision.
Are they gonna like spray with,
Can't answer you.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
I don't think it's,
Those decisions are gonna have to be up to the Board of Health and the health agent and the health inspector, because I mean, none of us are epidemiologists, so.
We
Well,
don't have,
plus they're
yeah,
autonomous
none of us are.
stuff
Yeah,
anyway.
they are, that's true. They are autonomous, so that's, we can't really, we can intrude into a lot of areas, but health is kinda,
It's one of the ones you can't get in.
under the general laws, they are pretty much
But you
exclusive
need to,
jurisdiction.
what all I'm kind of trying to say is that we need to take action here in the town, not us specifically as individuals, but as you're bringing up issues.
Well, Patrick is the emergency management chair.
yes.
So,
And the
yes,
Board of
and he's
Health,
also
I
the Board of
agree,
Health
I
agent, so
agree.
Yeah, and he's the appropriate person,
To be dealing with it.
The
yeah.
Board of Health,
and
yeah.
also he's the appropriate person for anybody to bring their concerns to, and he can go to state authorities probably, and he knows the state authorities to go to. So I think that's probably helpful too.
Yeah, just
He knows the people in the Department of Public Health and so forth to get guidance from, if he
And
feels the
common
need.
sense goes a long way.
And the other piece he had also.
Not always so common.
The PPEs, which is basically the masks and everything else. Right now, what they call HMCC is basically handling all of that. And what they're doing is they're directing everything to the hospitals. And Patrick is concerned because both our ambulance service and the Board of Health were told basically, good luck, go see if you can buy it somewhere outside, because they're taking everything. Which means you're trying to bid against everybody else to get stuff.
You're talking about the personal protective equipment,
Yep.
the
So it's all
PPE.
coming through this one group, and what Patrick asked for, and the state is gonna look into for us is, as far as these other two organizations I just mentioned, is to try and get it through MEMA instead. Actually, he'd rather see MEMA handle all of it. Things would be better handled that way, so we'll see what happens. And I'll give you an update as we go along, but like I say, Derek will have the information on a daily basis to go in. What happens is, if we have any question of how we run the town, or anything that comes up we don't know, we can basically go into this website, put the information in, it goes to the MMA, they immediately get a hold of someone in the legislature that's involved with that particular department, and they'll get an answer back to you in a day or so. So everybody
Okay.
should be pretty happy. The state is really working hard to make this work.
They are.
So
I think they're doing a great job. I think the governor's doing a good job on this. I appreciate it.
Okay, Jim.
And
you're
thanks, and
next.
thanks to Alan as well for,
Oh, always.
gathering all this information and talking to people and bringing it forward.
You're next.
Are you kidding me?
Did you liaison? No? Okay. How about you?
I liaised with my dog, but I don't think anybody wants to hear about that.
It looks like you're going to rob a train.
I'm gonna rob a stagecoach and take their toilet paper.
Who would believe that toilet paper would become more important than money?
There wasn't an egg on the shelf today. Eggs are all gone at Walmart.
Yeah, apparently the
Empty.
Massachusetts diet has become eggs,
Marijuana?
marijuana,
They closed that now. You only
and tuna fish sandwiches. That's another biggie.
unless you're medical, right?
Medical. I guarantee
Now,
everybody has a
isn't that
medical.
kind of weird though? The
Yeah.
alcohol's open,
Yeah.
medical's open, but recreational marijuana isn't.
Did you,
Kind of weird.
they wanted
You don't
to,
get the DTs if you quit pot.
Oh, I see.
That's
I
probably, seriously, that's probably it.
I saw something where they're talking about having the restaurants and being able to serve beer and wine with the delivery.
The other piece, they late today, they said that if a restaurant has a pouring license, they can also deliver or take out, beer and wine.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are they going to do that? Those bottles, they can't.
They have to give them a whole can or a whole bottle. You can't put it in a.
Yeah, well, that in the restaurants, all they have is bottles. They
All they're
don't.
supposed to have, yeah.
That's what they get, because that's how they differentiate between a restaurant pouring license and a
Yeah.
liquor store.
Because they allow the regular package
Or
stores. to
tavern.
They've
sell.
never let you take those bottles out of the building. It's never been allowed.
This is something that actually was in the bill today.
So
Yeah, I
stay
saw
home
that.
and get drunk. Is that what they're saying?
I guess getting drunk.
Okay.
at night-
Well, they're just trying to stimulate the restaurant
Alcohol
business.
kills germs, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
You kill it on the inside.
Tell everybody to stay hydrated and drink all the time.
All right. Next is approval of some minutes from March 17th, please.
Yep. Let's see, these are the meeting minutes from last week. All 5 of us were here, albeit 3 of us remotely. Alan came in at 7:15 according to this. I make a motion that we approve the minutes from March 17th, 2020.
Motion made by Peter, seconded by Alan. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous.
Now, Mary was present, so she'll have to sign these.
Yeah. That only leaves us one thing to do, and that's to adjourn. Please, folks, heed the warning, stay home, stay safe, please. All right, we'll see you next week. Next week, we probably won't be meeting in this room. We'll be meeting completely remote, but somehow you'll get to see it, I think. Mets are Mets. We'll see. Thank you. Motion adjourned by Alan,
Second.
seconded by Peter. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous.
Get it
Thank
out.
you, Wareham.
Good night, Wareham. Be safe.
Go to